that a country can get under when the trade issues are not resolved in their favor. And the cotton industry is really what is the linchpin, as it were, of the Burkina Faso economy. And so to see what the government copes with, what the private sector copes with, so every other ancillary business within Burkina anchors to the cotton sector. And so resolving those kinds of really global agenda issues would do a lot of good for countries like Burkina, much more than just, talking aid alone. Aid is very, very important. We need to have much more donor support for countries, but they also need to be able to trade. They need to be able to trade, and they need to be able to take advantage of sectors. One of the things that I found particularly interesting in the case of Burkina was that all the reforms that needed to be done to make their sector efficient, they had actually embraced willingly and were carrying them out adroitly. And so it would be important that in the advocacy realm, we can make the case for those kinds of countries and what the challenges that they have to share, the burden that they carry, how it needs to be shared by the rest of the international community. Agricultural technology, as I said, is important, and agricultural research is increasingly private in the developed world, with fewer spillovers for poorer countries. The cost of technology is pretty much high for a lot of the budgets of these countries. I was Minister of Education. One of the things that we always found is that issues of research and science and technology have really suffered big time in the continent. You hardly ever find investment going in that direction. And because a lot of the private sector in the continent is still very weak, they haven't been able to build the base to actually engage in innovative research or to even take advantage of research that's available. So there's a big gap, there's a yawning gap in terms of using knowledge to transform, the sectors like agriculture. I'll just give you a quick glimpse of what we currently are doing in terms of our operational roadmap in the region. Our lending for sub-Saharan Africa agriculture grew from less than 200 million in 1999 to over 500 million in 2007. But you know that this is like a drop in the ocean. This is so insufficient in magnitude, and it's not yet adequately placed within a comprehensive framework. The bank, although, remains the largest donor in this sector still. So we're still the largest donor, and yet what we're doing is not that, large. The newly consolidated agricultural unit of the Africa region, with its 88 staff, and what we have as part of our decentralization agenda is to not do Africa agriculture from Washington. That would be difficult, right? The seeds won't even fall on the ground. So we have more decentralized, competent staff that are out there in Africa operationalizing the conclusions of our World Development Report, Agriculture for Development, to address the past shortcomings that were identified in the IEG review titled Agriculture in Sub-Saharan Africa. The good thing about the institution is that this is a learning environment. It's a knowledge environment, but it's also a learning environment. We learn from mistakes that are made, and we improve on them, and we do better. And in the case of agriculture in Africa, I would say to you that we've been learning. We've really been learning, and we've been doing better. The team that we have in the region right now is so focused on delivering exactly what it is that would enable where the area of our best competitive and comparative advantage. That's what we're focusing on. And I am very, very pleased with the leadership that we're showing in that regard. The entire institution, President Zolik, for instance, has prioritized agriculture in Africa as something that the bank needs to be very consistent in working with partners to deliver on. The region is moving ahead with a set of flagship activities that will help define key results and the measures that are measurable within the 5 core areas that I had earlier enumerated. And we're going to be looking at those core areas as being areas that are deserving of prioritizing in the financing within the public expenditure framework. The partnership that we have are already moving in the direction for improving the benefits of irrigation. You know, there was a season when irrigation was the biggest tragedy, as it were, in the continent. But the mistakes of that period have been learned, both by government and by supporters. And so going to the partnerships that we're forging, that exist already, would really be effective toward irrigation, agricultural supply chains, sustainable land management, and agricultural research. And all of these would go toward building a really vibrant program as we go forward. The panel discussions for this roundtable have been articulated and designed in a way that I find quite strategic, because they highlight the importance of a united approach to meeting the MDGs in the 3 categories of the panel's discussions or the panel setup. We're going to have non-governmental organizations, donor institutions, and the private sector. And that is basically a true, a clear understanding of the fact that not one group can deliver agriculture in Africa. It's going to take everyone working together in great synchronization of the best attributes that they bring. The NGOs bring their own attributes, and that's why it is particularly heartwarming that we have quite a number of them represented in this gathering today. The NGOs, if we didn't have NGOs, we would have had to invent them. Because the truth is that what the private sector is not looking out for, the NGOs are busy looking out for. And ultimately, it's important that the private sector should hear what the NGOs have to say. At the end of the day, it's not only about bottom line. That's not what defines life. Corporate social responsibility knocks on our door every day. And more, as we look at the areas of disadvantage that Africa has, the voices that bring to our attention, that bring to the attention of institutions like ours, and to the attention of private sector operators, and to the attention of government, need to have a seat at the table. And that's why I'm very happy that they are part of this discussion. The donor institutions like ourselves and other colleagues and friends from other agencies that are here are also important, because like we said, the fragile and fledgling budgeting for agriculture that we see in the